Today we're using neutral density to darken up a sky in an outdoor portrait. Hey guys, welcome to Phlearn. My name's Aaron Nace. You can find me on Twitter at AKNacer. Today we're taking you outdoors where we're going to be doing an environmental portrait, and we're going to be darkening up the sky quite a bit. So our goal here with this portrait is to take this picture of Avery, and she's doing awesome. She's standing on just a cheap IKEA bench, and basically what we're doing is photographing her from below all the way straight up. Now behind us we have, or right over here, we have like a really cool train track, like some trellises. I don't think they're really in use anymore, but they look amazing. And what we wanted to do is get those in the background. Now we want to make sure we can expose for them decently well, get them in the background, and also make sure that the sky is really dark. We don't want it to be like super bright and blown out. We're using the sky, the color blue, kind of complementing with the color she's got here. So in order to get that sky really dark, we're still going to be using strobes here. So we need to figure out a way to still be able to use a relatively fast shutter speed. We're looking at something like 1/160th of a second. Now we can't go to like 1/200, 1/400, 1/800. Those shutter speeds would get the sky really dark, but in turn we couldn't use a strobe when you're using a shutter speed that's fast. So what we're doing instead is we're using a neutral density filter. We've got a 3-stop neutral density filter, and that's on the top of our lens. So what that's doing is lowering the amount of light that comes from the sun by 3 stops. So that's a lot less light that's actually hitting the sensor. So you can still use a relatively slow shutter speed, something that can actually capture something with like a strobe, 1/160th of a second in this case is what we're using. You can still use that, and it's going to act like you've got something like 1/800th of a second. So a lot less light is going to come from the sun. So using that neutral density filter is a really great way to make a sky really dark, but still be able to use strobes. Now with our strobes, we're just using a long throw reflector, and the reason is we don't have a ton of light entering our camera lens because we put 3 stops of neutral density over it. So you have to use a light that's going to put out a lot of power. So we're using a long throw reflector here, which is just going to punch a ton of light here towards Avery. It's going to be a hard light source, but that's kind of what we want as well. We're going to probably be putting a reflector in the back just to even out those shadows just a little bit. So we've got a ton of light kind of pumping in from the front. We've got not much light coming in from the sky, and it's going to make for like a very dynamic, very cool image. We're also shooting incredibly wide angle, so we can shoot from below, basically see all the way from a little wind there. Basically see all the way from Avery's feet to her head, and it's just going to be like a really amazing picture with all this in the background. So very, very cool. And again, using those neutral density filters is going to really make the sun very, very dark. Let's get into the shot. Beautiful. Kind of bend down towards me, Avery, if you could. There we go. Gorgeous. Let's really spread your legs out so we have this one like almost at the very edge there. There we go. You kind of bend them. Yeah, if you can bend them.
Really awkward.
If you can bend them that way, that would be great.
This way?
Yeah, there we go. Cool, right? Like how dark the sky is and everything?
Yeah.
In a lot of these, like the sun's kind of like peering out like right behind you too.
Yeah.
I like
the
that when
lighting's so awesome.
It's sick, right?
Yeah, it's super sick.
I love it when you put your legs up, like you had them up a couple times.
We could try those again. I just you have to snap them quick.
Okay, yeah, let's do it again. All right, so we just wrapped up shooting, and the shots came out absolutely amazing. We've got basically the neutral density filter here on our lens lowers the amount of light that's coming into the camera by 3 stops. So we can shoot with ISO 100 on the camera, and it's going to show like very little light coming from the sky. So our final settings on the camera, we're shooting at 1/100th of a second, and we're shooting at f10. So basically we're not letting a ton of light in, especially from what's going on above, and our big light here into the long throw reflector is providing most of the light that's actually on Avery. Another one of the really cool things we were kind of figuring out as we were shooting was the sunlight was actually like coming back from behind, but because it really wasn't providing like a ton of light, it's just kind of like a really nice pin light. And one thing we were doing with posing is, remember how I was like, oh, let me see the light? And so what we had Avery do is actually, she could see when the sun was hitting the camera. Like obviously, you know, you can see that there's sunlight on her right now. So if the sunlight was hitting the lens of the camera, which she could kind of move and pose and things like that, then that means the camera can see the sun as well. So really what we were doing is kind of like, I was, you know, keeping the camera in the same place, but Avery was kind of controlling whether or not the camera could see the sun, which kind of gave you something to work with, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. So that's basically what the shot is. Again, shooting super wide angle and with that really like dark contrasty background, really provided for something amazing. And I think the complementary color between what she's got on for the blouse and for the sky is just really, really came out cool. So that's the end of the shot, guys. Not incredibly hard to do. We've got one light here and a super wide angle lens with a neutral density filter, and you guys can get something just like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll Phlearn you later.
Learn you later.
Bye.